Hi friends, what we're looking at is the aftermath, if you will, of doing a rapid deflation demonstration, which we did yesterday, and talked about some cold water immersion. And what we're going to do today is kind of show you some of the processes of what we check. In this case, I'm looking at the pontoon that we actually used on the craft where we did the rapid deflation, and it has quite a bit of water in it. So we're going to take you through the process of what we do to not only check that, but empty the water out and get it back in order. First, we want to start by unzipping the pontoon skin to begin the separation process of the skin from the interior bladder that is full of water. Here you can see we have it unzipped, and starting to look at it, still has air in it along with water, and I'm actually looking at the condensation that has built up. We're going to open this up because we're going to separate the bladder and the valve from the pontoon skin. Continuing to loosen, you can just basically go with your hand now, and there it goes. It comes apart from the pontoon skin. Now this allows me to actually reach inside the pontoon skin now and separate the bladder that's full of water and some air from the skin itself. Here's a great look at the condensation that's built up just within the valve, as you can see. So next I just reach in and begin to pull the bladder away from the pontoon skin itself and separate it out. See how it's coming out of the skin? And you just continue to pull that apart. You hear all the water in it sloshing back and forth. So my bladder, with water and some air, is now separated completely from the pontoon skin. Here's a better shot for you of the separation of the pontoon skin from the pontoon bladder that's full of water. And now what you want to do is set that pontoon skin aside and make sure everything's in order, nothing's torn apart. Go through the checklist that you have, or of whatever manufacturer you're using, and make sure it's all in order, no tears or rips or anything like that, and let it air out and dry. Here's a look at where I actually hung the pontoon skin today, and I'm just letting the air circulate in it, begin to dry out all over the place so it doesn't have mold and mildew. Next, what we want to do is to begin to move the water that is in the bladder towards where our valve actually is, our valve opening. I've almost got a full bucket of water right now from our demonstration yesterday of the cold water immersion discussion. All of this is coming out of the interior of that inflatable pontoon bladder. And I just start rolling up the pontoon bladder itself, squeezing the water towards that valve opening. So next I want to put my valve back together and tighten it down and actually air the bladder up. And it's going to be a process of airing the bladder up, letting it sit in the sun, deflating it, airing it back up, deflating it, and letting some sunlight get to it. And eventually this will dry out and will be okay. You don't want to let water sit in here because you can create a soft spot in these guys. So it's good to get the water out, and I'm just sharing the process of how we approach this, and we just air them up and deflate them and air them up and deflate them until they get completely dry, and then we use them again. And here's the bladder that had the water in it. It's filled back up, and of course watch your pressure in there. They don't hold a whole lot. In fact, this one only holds 2.5 psi. The sun looks like it's broke out for us today, so we're pretty excited to see that. And again, It's aired up, starting to dry on the inside, and we will deflate this and then re-inflate it as the process of drying continues. Just like when you're floating in the inflatable pontoon, you want to periodically come back and check your pressure on your bladder, because as the sun continues to bear down on it, of course, that can increase the pressure. Friends, it looks like we're going to be addressing now the next part of this, which is our frame. Our seat looks like it's draining some water, and we sure hope you've had a good time with us today. We've enjoyed bringing this to you about how we're draining water out of the bladder and stuff. It's a heck of a process, and of course the key is try not to sink your boat, right? Anyhow, we hope to see you on the water.